If you're running 5, 6 days a week and constantly dealing with knee pain, shin splints, or Achilles tendon issues, you might actually be running too much. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I help runners stay injury free, get faster, and even complete races using a simple 3 runs per week plan. I'm Dr. Ray Peralta, a physical therapist, run coach. Over the past 10 years, I noticed that many runners are training hard, but constantly getting injured, especially around marathon season. Many runners, when I look at their training plans, they're training 5, 6, even 7 days per week with little recovery. I'm in New York, so what ends up happening, fall comes around, it's October, races in November. They're telling me, hey, Dr. Ray, help me out. My knee hurts, ankle, you got to help me. But there's only a few weeks left to the race. And unfortunately, it's like usually too late by that point, especially if it's a severe injury. Now, if it's a more minor injury, there's things that could be done, but they're often having to really modify their training. And, we don't want to wait. We don't want to be reactive. It's better to be proactive instead of waiting until the last minute till this injury really gets out of control. And this typically happens because they're one-dimensional with their training. They're just focusing on running more because they hear, to get better at running, I have to run more, right? To do more miles, more days. But unfortunately, this leads to overuse injuries. So a lot of people don't realize that running is a high-impact sport. It's not a contact sport, right? It's not like boxing or wrestling, but it is a high-impact sport because every time your foot hits the ground, it's 2 to 3 times body weight of impact stresses that's going through your legs. So that's why a lot of injuries to the lower body happen in running, are overuse injuries just because the body's not used to, handling the loads. It's typically due to a lack of strength or mobility, and then not really doing any cross training. Again, they're just focusing on running. They follow a running plan, and heck, the plan may even tell them to do some strength training, but they oftentimes they ignore it. They neglect, like, I don't really need to do it, or they'll, partially do. I'll do some air squats. That's good enough, right? And unfortunately, they get these overuse injuries, just too much volume, too much mileage, right? Not enough recovery, poor recovery. And if you want a copy of this Google Doc, and to learn more about the 3 runs per week framework to stay pain-free, I'm sharing it inside my free online run group. Click the link in the description to join. So I implemented the 3 runs per week, right? Reduce the frequency. I tell the runners I work, especially if you're injury prone. And listen, I understand there's different ways to train. I'm not saying this is the only way to train, but if you're injury prone and you want to stay healthy, I recommend switching to a 3 runs per week framework, right? So structure runs and stay consistent with them, right? At least a long run, a tempo run, and a speed run. But if you're more of a beginner, you can even do 2 easy runs and a long run, or all 3 easy runs, right? And it could be, you can do run walk method with this 3 runs per week framework. Essentially, you sort of run walk 3 times a week and just have a day in between, at least a day in between to recover between the run workouts. However, if you're more intermediate or advanced, you could do the tempo run and the speed run. A speed workout would be like repeat 400 meter or repeat 800 meter. Tempo run might be like a 45-minute or 30-minute, like steady state at moderately hard, right? Comfortably hard pace. And then a long run, you do it at easy pace, typically, unless you're really trying to improve your race performance and you have some segments where you do at your goal race pace. So let's say you're training for a marathon, you'll have certain segments doing the long run where you train at marathon race pace, depending on how far you are in the training block. But just giving you a quick example or overview here on this video on how you would structure a 3 runs per week plan. The other thing I highly recommend that should be non-negotiable strength training, right? So a lot of times runners skip strength training, and this is a common mistake. They just do the 3 runs, but they don't do the strength training. Like, why am I not getting faster, improving my performance? Strength training is a secret here. So when you do proper strength training, and I'm not talking about just doing air squats, I'm talking about also doing heavy lifting, explosive lifting, jump training, speed training. In terms of what strength training, you actually could do speed squats, for example. When you do this, you could actually reduce running volume by like 30% by swapping out with strength and explosive training and actually improve running performance. And it doesn't have to be too lengthy. You could do 2 days of strength training. If you want to do a 3rd day, you could even do 3 days a week of strength training. And again, it could be a heavy lifting day, a more dynamic, explosive lifting day. So you have both maximal strength, speed strength, and you can train muscular endurance in there as well with high repetition effort as well. But the thing is, many runners just either don't do any strength training or they only do one type of strength training, which is the high repetition effort. And they, I'm just going to do, high reps of squats and call it a day, which is body weight. No, if it's too easy for you, unless you're a complete beginner, you're going to have to add some load, some weight to that. And then also progress it to challenging progression. The other thing is to make sure you're doing cross training as well. So another way to improve your cardio, even though you're just running 3 days a week, is doing 2 days of cross training. So twice a week, you're going to be doing either walking if you're a beginner. If you're more advanced, you do incline walking. You can do weighted walking, or put on a weighted vest or weighted backpack or rucksack. You could also do bike and rowing, but these other 2 days of the week will also help improve your aerobic fitness, or your endurance, so you could actually enjoy running and be fitter when you show up for your race day. So it's not just about training less just to show up and hobby jog across, but also to be healthy and also show up strong and robust. Especially even if your goal is to actually race versus just be a hobby jogger. And if you want to be a hobby jogger, that's fine too. But this will also make sure that you're healthy showing up to your runs, whether you're signed up for a race, even if you're not signed up for a race. This is also a good way for general fitness, to just be healthy and fit year round, right? So, runners can improve their fitness with smarter training, not just more mileage. So what happened after switching to 3 runs per week? I've done this for myself. I used to be someone who used to get overuse injuries. I know these nagging knee injuries I used to have, they went away. And even with my athletes who were dealing with like nagging Achilles tendon pain, or also IT band syndrome, those injuries started just disappearing. They still had to do the rehab work, the prehab work, and the strength and mobility training. But by swapping out from a 6 or 5 day per week running schedule to just 3 runs per week, a lot of these overuse injuries significantly reduced, right? Now runners are able to stay more consistent without the flare-ups. They're able to complete the races, whether 5K, half marathon. And yes, you can even do 3 runs per week on a full marathon as well. I've had many athletes do this, even those who ran a 3:30, a 3-hour marathon with just 3 runs per week, right? So you can improve your performance, improve your speed. I even had runners hit PRs with 3 runs per week plan, right? And again, you can see less pain on those common areas that typically happen with overuse injuries because not enough recovery days. So I currently have 2 spots open to work with me privately, one-to-one, to get running healthy, pain-free, even with just 3 runs per week. And if you're curious, there's a link in the description. First come, first served. So key lessons from the 3 runs per week approach. You don't have to run every day to improve or stay fit. Recovery and strength training are essential for injury-free running. Smart programming beats higher mileage for most adult runners who are injury-prone. Simple cross-training like walking and even weighted walking can support running performance. And consistency with sustainable plan leads to long-term pain-free progress.